Hey guys, I know you're probably wondering, okay, why did she name the video like this? And now I tell you why. So last night was like my first time going going out with a large amount of coworkers for dinner and Norde Bong. Like, and I've always wanted this, but because like in Mohawk one, it was only a few teachers and we had dinner and like that was it. It was just like awkward or whatever. This one was about 30 teachers plus my vice principal and principal because our principal is moving to another school. Unfortunately, it's not the vice principal. Unfortunately, anyway, so it was like a going away party. So I got there, blah blah blah. I get there and I'm like sitting by myself at the last table because like I had ran because the restaurant was right by my apartment. So I just like ran, dropped my stuff off, changed a little bit, and then came back. So then I had to sit. That meant I had to sit at the table with the principal and the vice principal. Well, okay, I was sitting there, and vice principal and principal's English is like zero. So he tells one of the man teachers, to come sit with us because he speaks English really well, and it just got real quiet. And I was like, oh my gosh, he just did make him go from sitting with his peeps to have to sit over here by me and speak English and translate. And I was like, oh my gosh, and like I had apologized. I was like, I'm sorry, like you don't like I'm sorry, like it's not I mean, and I can give respect to my vice principal because at least he always makes sure that I have someone to talk to or that something's translated, so I can give respect for him to that because I've had too many times that nobody give a damn. So anyway, so at the beginning, like I swear I was gonna cry. Like it was just, this week has not been a good week for me. And I'll explain why in the other video because it'll get too long with this one. Dealing with my old boss from Sam Chop's like, what? He's back? Yeah, he's back. So it has not been good. Oh, and then like I was like eating some of the sides, and then the guy was like, the principal, vice principal told him something. He was like, oh, in Korean culture, the oldest person at the table eats first. And I was like, well, oh damn, like you think almost everything about culture or so much, and it's like something else new pops up, and like so much new stuff popped up last night, and I was like, I didn't know this. What the hell did this stuff come from? Like I thought I knew enough. You think you know about a culture that you've been living in for a year, of almost 2 years, and it's like, well, damn, this is something else new. Good golly. Like, and I don't want anyone commenting, like, well, you should know that. Hell no. If you ain't never lived in another country, if you ain't never left your country, can't nobody give me advice on anything about living in another country. So, I don't want to hear about that. But it's usually people that leave those kind of comments or people that aren't even subscribed to watch my video. They're just like, oh, you should. Oh, hell no. Okay? If you ain't never left your country, don't you dare tell me about a damn thing. Okay. So I was like, okay, that's never happened before because I've eaten with so many Koreans, like everybody just eats at the same time. And I was just like, okay. So when it was time to eat, they didn't eat first. They was just like, okay, now it's time to eat. Everybody ate together. So I was like, this is weird. Anyway, I wanted to cry. I was just like, this is just so uncomfortable. He's having to be forced to like translate for me and not sit with the people he wanted to sit with, and I got to sit by my vice principal and all that, and it's just so weird. Anyway, as it progressed, we had galbi, doji galbi, and oh my gosh, it was delicious. So we were just eating or whatever, and we had a conversation whenever it was going nice. Next thing you know, they started popping the soju bottles and were passing shots around. And as you know, like Koreans, like they love to drink, but I didn't fully understand how drinking is like a part of a culture. Like I thought it was just like, oh, people like drink. No, 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 no. It's like actually like a part of the culture. We all had like a shot, like pour soju or whatever. It was like, toast or whatever. It was funny because somebody like popped a soju bottle, and only me and the vice principal saw it, and it flew from the table and landed on his lap. He was like, ah, hi. We like both were laughing. He was like, what are you laughing at? But it was funny because soju bottles were popping, okay? Like a music video, like rap video. That was just one shot. Next thing I know, like, I didn't even know this. Something else new. Two other things new. Like, okay, of course, when somebody, like, pours something, they either, like, put their hand right here and pour it, or they do it with two hands. Like, I at least know that. But the younger person has to actually get up. Like, they don't sit down and do it. You actually have to get up on your knees and do it for an older person. I was like, I've never in my life seen that one. Then, each person there has to, or wants to or has to, out of respect, pour them a glass, and then they pour it back to them. So it was about 30 people there, and about 15 of them poured them a glass. So they all came and poured, like one after another, poured the principal and the vice principal shots of soju. Okay, and soju is strong. Like, I don't like it because I think it's nasty. But he had like 15 shots, right? And they got drunk, right? And they busted out this wine that was just really, really good. It was like 100-year-old wine. It was like Bexeju. And it was 100-year-old wine. I tasted it. I was like, oh, this is good. And it was like, you like that? I was like, yeah. So it was like, okay, here you go, April. And it was like, one shot. It was like, is that how you say it? I was like, yeah, one shot. So I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, oh, here's another one. And my co-teacher comes over and she is drunk as hell. Everybody's just like falling out. My principal, the vice principal and principal are like 60 something years old. They just like, my vice principal's like, oh, you're so pretty. And then he just goes off on, oh, the students love her, blah, blah, blah. And like the guys translate. I'm like, everybody's so drunk. So my co-teacher comes over, and for some reason she was hanging on the principal and vice principal like the whole night. And I think like everybody thought it was weird. Like what is she? Like my old co-teacher, because she's a first grade. I was like, what is she like? So she comes over. She's like, oh, here, April. She poured me a little shot. And I'm like, it was like one shot. And I'm like, and I drink it. And I think I had like 6 shots. This is the first time I ever got drunk. And I was sitting, I was so drunk that I was numb. And I didn't move from my spot. And I was just like, I can't feel my fingertips. Like, everybody was just, it was loud. So my like 65-year-old principal's going over pouring everybody shots. He's just this little man just pouring everybody shots, and like he just poured it where it was just like falling. The liquor was just falling. I was just like, whoa, like to experience this, like. And I asked, like, the guy was like, why does everyone have to like pour him a drink, like out of respect? But I'm like, that's a lot of drink. He was like, oh, this Korean culture. I'm like, I ain't read this in no book. I've never experienced this before. Like, it was totally like just new stuff. I'm like, wow, like when you live somewhere, you think oh, okay, I got the basics. Like, it's always so much more to learn, and like so much like new stuff. And you're like, oh my gosh. So next thing I know, the principal wanted to feed me a strawberry. I was like, he was like gone. Like, this 65-year-old people, I mean, he was just gone, right? And I was like, oh no. I was like, well, I didn't want to say no because it's rude. So I just went over and I like, put my hand on it. Like, I was like, okay. Because they gave us strawberries and kiwi with like toothpicks, right? Like for dessert at the end. And I was like, oh my gosh. And my principal was like, the vice principal was like, and I was like, what is he doing this for? And then he called all the women over so our principal could feed all the women strawberries. I was like, this is too much. And they was like, oh, naughty bog. After I was like, oh my gosh. So the teacher beside me was like, oh, do you know naughty bog? I'm like, I've been living here almost 2 years. I think I know what Naughty Bog is. Trust it, like, I think I've been here Naughty Bog a million times. I was like, yeah. I was like, I love Naughty Bog. He was like, oh, you can sing pop songs? I was like, Korean songs. I was like, really? He was like, I think you can sing like Mariah Carey. I was like, you tripping. Like, and like, I was drunk. But I was just sat there. I was like, I ain't moving. I ain't about to make no fool of myself. But like, he was like talking to me, but I just like do a short answer, like at the beginning. After I got drunk, I was like, oh yeah. He was like, oh, what kind of men do you like? And I was just like, oh, I love Rain. And I was like, and I love The Rock. Because we were talking about, he liked pro wrestling, and he knows like all the actors and stuff in America. I was like, oh, okay, you know so and so. And I was like, oh, what's my favorite actor? He was like, oh, is that your type of guy? I was like, no, I love Bean, but then I like The Rock. He was like, but they're so different. I was like, I know, I want either or. It was just so crazy. So then we went out on Naughty Bar, right? And like, they was like, okay, what song you want to sing? What song? I was like, no, I don't have to sing. Like, no. And he just kept coming back over to me, like, what's the song number? I was like, okay, I was singing. So for some reason, like when the principal sang, we all had to stand up. He sang like 4 songs. You have to stand up. And I was just like, wow, like, This is crazy. Like, everyone had to stand up when the principal say, and everybody else say, just sit down. So so, oh, and the principal came over, he was like touching my face and like, this 60-something-year-old man. It was just so funny. So then it was my turn. I sang, it's my go-to karaoke song, karaoke song, Noribang song in Korean, and it's Rain Love Story, because I know like the entire lyrics, right? And I know like other songs I know are like JYJ songs, but Noraebang doesn't have JYJ songs, which I don't know why, whatever. But so I just sing Rain, so I was like, okay, well this one I know the words, and I was nervous because I was singing Korean in front of Korean. So I'm there and I sing, I was like, oh baby, no, you okay? Like I started singing, they were like, why? And then my co-teacher's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, yeah, oh my god. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. And my principal comes over, he puts his hand over me, and he takes the mic away, starts talking, and they were like, let her sing, let her sing. And I guess he was like, oh my gosh, she's so good. Like, this is so embarrassing. So I sing, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, you can speak Korean. And I was like, no, I'm like mediocre. And then afterwards, the one of the Korean friend teachers, she was like, I'm gonna start. She's like, I'm not speaking English to you tomorrow. I'm just start speaking only Korean to you. I was like, I ain't gonna understand nothing. But I was kind of happy because number one, now they know that I understand stuff in Korean and I can read it and speak it. Like, now they know, so they'll be watchful. Like, ooh, she know what we talking about, because the word will spread. And the vice principal was like, oh, she has da 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 da, and they were like, soul. They was like, yeah, it was soul. And it's so funny because I sang that song in front of some of my students at Samchak one time. We went to Notre Dame, and he was like, oh, teacher, you have soul. And I'm like, I just sing the song like just naturally. But anyway, it was just such a crazy experience, and they were still drunk when we left Notre Dame after like an hour, 30 minutes, and co-teacher went arm in arm with the principal, vice principal, and walked away with the. I was like, is this a gangbang or something? Like, this is so weird. And the teacher in English, I was like, we were talking to, like, he was like, oh, you have Facebook? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, at me. I was like, personal? He was like, oh, you have bikini pictures on there? I was like, no. I was like, actually, I was like, no, I have to keep those two, Pink Fashion Ninja and April teaching lives, totally separate, because he'll see like I like K-pop, and like the teachers in there talk. He'd be like, oh, she has G Dragon as her cover photo on her page. And, oh, she does fashion, and she just did a cover shoot for. Oh, and it's just K-pop. Oh, hell no. Okay, I keep those lives separate, so I didn't add him, and I feel like it's none of his business. Whatever I do in my spare time is what I do. So anyway, crazy bottles, soju bottles was popping. 100 euro wine. I had like 6, 7 shots, and I was just like, I can't take no more. So the other soju, I just poured in the thing. I was like, I can't take no more.